Dark.
Let's do this.
Yeah, yeah. So Alone in the Dark. This is probably one of the oldest songs that made this record. It is, I want to say, the main riff we conceived in its original form, which was just kind of like the tail of the riff back in 2001, and it didn't really take shape to what it became, that intro riff, till probably 2003-ish.
2003, 2004, really. It's really when we built it up.
And then the version you hear on the album actually kind of wasn't fully realized until 2013, 2014, when we were doing it with the last incarnation of Fading Chaos. And we rewrote the middle section, because originally there was a bass, it was kind of like a bass jam. It was just bass and drums, and the guitar really didn't have a place there.
Yeah, it was literally just drums, bass would do a little solo, and then the guitar would kick back in. So we had to fill that in when Eric didn't want to do a bass solo.
Lyrically, it was kind of my take on the thoughts of one of our closest friends, John McMurtry, who was being deployed to Iraq when I wrote the original draft of the lyrics back in 2005. We had a different title for it. I think we were calling it Living in the Past or something like that. But the original title of the song was Alone in the Dark. The original lyrics written by I forget his last name, but it was some guy named Ryan that was a friend of me and our original drummer Charlie. And he came in, put lyrics to it, and we can see how well that worked out. But I mean, you could basically kind of take the idea of the lyrics as a vet, a service member in a war zone, or like PTSD having flashbacks. And that's kind of the mindset I went into when I was writing. Kind of trying to think of how John would have experienced things and whatnot. So
yeah, and one of the things that I like about it is we're having some darker lyrics, if you will, with a really upbeat song. It really gives a beautiful contrast of what's going on with a lot of people that are dealing with that as well. A lot of people are always putting on that smile, but it's what's deep down, what's really underneath.
I will never show the pain you're inflicting on me. Once upon a lifetime ago, I made a different choice. Would I do it over? Life was moving.
okay, Once Upon a Lifetime Ago.
All right.
This one was actually written during the recording process for Quietus. Musically, Sean wrote this whole deal except for parts of the bass line and the breakdown, which I kind of dabbled with a little bit. I really only changed the bass line for the softer part because it needed something a little different than I was hearing, and I think it sounds pretty fucking cool. And the breakdown had some issues lining up how, really kind of driving, and then we came up with this idea that you hear on the record.
Yeah. No, it was literally conceived. I was listening. I still do listening to a lot of Deftones and a lot of prog. It was really like when I started playing it, that opening riff, that da-na-na-na-na, and just how it moves back and forth between the channels. While I was writing it, all I could think of is like, they don't, there's not a lot of music like this out there anymore. Not a lot of people play around with the stereo channels like they did back in the 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s. So all I was thinking of was this was happening once upon a lifetime ago.
And actually, the title of the song was something Sean came up with, and I kind of used that to kind of that idea to craft the lyrics, which the lyrics ended up kind of being along the lines of making a choice, but wishing you could go back and change that choice. You know, once upon a lifetime ago, I made a different choice.
Yeah. No, it definitely is one of the fun. It's a very fun song to play. I taught Eric it on the guitar.
The riff is a lot of fun to play, I have to say.
Begging in distress, a little laugh for just myself as well. The problem just seems to grow with time.
Okay, next up, No Future. The version you hear on the album is pretty much the same one we've been playing since 2003.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was I think it is exactly the same, except for some of the leads that are over it.
Yeah, I think we decided to add the lead guitar over the chorus to kind of add like another layer, another dimension to what was going on there. And it's just that's a fun song to play. I remember back when we were first starting to play it at Uncle Studios in Van Nuys.
Shout out to Scott.
And Charlie would keep getting pissed off because I'd keep speeding up the main riff, and he would get thrown off time, and you and me would just keep going crazier and crazier with it.
Yeah,
So
I still remember. I still remember how that came about. Eric was tuning his guitar, and I kept jamming on the bass, and Eric told me to stop it. So I stared at him directly, and I just did dun 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 dun, and Eric, he just stared at me, and then he's like, "That sounded pretty cool. Can you do that again?"
Yeah, that was how No Future started. It started with that intro riff you hear. I mean, that was fully done on the bass, and that's a cool, creepy, just really dark sounding intro.
Yeah, it definitely is. One of the things that a lot of people don't know, and this will probably be going on a trivia thing later, but what was the name of the song back in 2014, Eric?
Downward Spiral. And before that, what was it, Sean?
Road Rage.
Well, I mean, before Road Rage.
It was Road Rage.
It was Risk back in the later days.
I remember it. Risk, Road Rage, Downward Spiral, and now No Future.
Lyrically, I guess it kind of took shape into what it became. Lyrically, it's about a failing relationship. Basically it's one-sided, and the speaker is kind of crying out for help but feeling unheard, more or less. That's kind of how I feel about it. Like, hey, do you not see what you're doing to me? Do you not see what you're causing? The other side doesn't really acknowledge it, stays silent and continues what they're doing because they don't see anything wrong with their actions. Whereas the video, on the other hand, we took basically we kind of crafted the video around one line of the song, which was pinning all your needles into my voodoo doll.
Yeah.
And ran with the idea of some dude torturing someone with a voodoo doll. And I fucking love the video personally. I think it turned out to be a great fit visually for the song.
It works. It does.
What were the signs that we had missed? Could we have changed the outcome? I only wish. How could you be so cold to all of us? Tarnished image, anger, or a lack of love, a sight that no sun should have been.
Next up, Opa.
Yes.
Opa. This is a deep one for me. It's probably the most personal and emotional for me on the album. The music was written back in what I want to say, it was 2007. The day I found out my Opa, my grandfather, he shot himself, and yeah, music was pretty much written in one sitting. And I was at like, it was kind of just, I got the news and kind of went off to be alone and grabbed my guitar, and just, it all kind of came out in one writing. I guess it was, just kind of trying to process things and put what I was feeling into music. Yeah. So I guess, yeah, so the music's been sitting around, and it's what you hear on the album is what I wrote back then. Lyrically, it had many different iterations over the years. The version you hear on the album with the lyrics, I think when I wrote those back in 2019, and I was kind of really focused on writing proper lyrics and melodies for some of the tunes that became Quietus. And while I've come to terms with what happened, it's still bitter. It's still bitter, and kind of a bitter feeling deep down as reflected in the lyrics. I mean, I don't hate my Opa. I hate what he did. And the lyrics basically just tell the story of that day and my feelings about it. The 20,000 reasons line in the chorus isn't just some arbitrary number I decided to throw in there. It's the amount of money he left me in his suicide note. So it fit the melody so well. The first time I ever heard what Dan Picknell did on the vocals for us.
Oh man, it was amazing.
Like, it broke me down to tears, like a mess of tears. He fucking nailed the pain and the emotion behind the lyrics, and it was just like fantastic. I couldn't have asked for a better singer to be on this album.
Yeah.
One Promise.
I remember that bass line from years ago.
Yes, I mean, we had that bass line sitting around for a while, and the guitar riff for it. I wrote that main guitar riff while my Oma, my grandmother, she was in hospice back in the beginning of 2005, and I was sitting there playing guitar. She always liked to sit. She loved when I played guitar, and she was in her final days, and I remember her passing as I was toying around with that riff, like as clear as it happened yesterday. That riff turned into what became One Promise, which you hear on the album. And musically, it's been more or less the same since, 2005?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Pretty much when we locked that one in, but we never got the chance to really play it with any of the incarnations of the band, because it just wasn't.
It never fit.
Yeah, it was a great song, but it just never fit with what we were doing at the time.
Yeah.
And I guess lyrically, the song's about loss. It's for anyone, that has lost somebody. That's how I feel about it. It's like, I guess one side of the one verse is from the side of, I guess, myself, hey, why do you have to go? And the other side, like, I don't want to go, but I have to. Can you tell me why I have to go? And I guess, listening to the choruses, you can kind of interpret it from both sides of things. I don't think I could hold on anymore.
Yeah.
So it could be taken from both sides, which is kind of cool. I love that song. It sounds great. It's one of my favorites on the album.
It's a great one, man.
What happened? No, unplug it. No signal.
Descent into Madness.
I think that the riff has been around since 2003.
Yeah, I want to say the main, I guess we got like the main verse riff, like the first part of the verse riff at least. That's been sitting around for a while, probably since back then too. Originally, there was a solo over the chorus section, which we removed in order for the vocals to really take the spotlight there.
Yeah.
Honestly, this one's one of my favorites to play just because of all the rhythm changes and whatnot. And the verse, the way it just changes rhythm mid-verse, it's so much fun to play. I don't think this one actually took its final shape until like 2018, 2019, when I was in college and I started I started piecing things together for my recording arts class.
I mean, I actually want to say that it's a mixture of different songs, because I remember there's 2 or 3 riffs in there that were from other songs that we had done, that we had, just added to this one because it just fit. And it just worked perfect.
I think that's how we ended up with that real contrast of the really heavy, chunky, triplet verses, and then just right into that clean.
Yeah.
That clean piece wasn't even written until 2017, 2018, and it just kind of lined up and fit really well. So, and then again, there was a solo over the chorus, which became the solo at the beginning of Chasing Ghosts, which is we'll talk about here in a little bit. But it was the same. The solo you hear on Chasing Ghosts is the solo that was originally over the choruses here, and we basically had Dan do the vocals in the melody of the guitar solo over the chorus, and we decided, having the solo there as well, kind of just it took away from the vocals.
It did,
and the vocals became like phenomenal. I love that song. I love every song on our album. I'm biased though, because we wrote these. So I guess lyrically, it didn't really take its final form until the middle of last year, after we sent it to Dan and realized, after re-listening to the scratch tracks we sent him, that the vocals were a huge mouthful for anyone to spit out.
Yeah.
And the melody really sucked. Like we took a step back and listened. We're like, that's terrible. That's probably the worst thing that we're going to put on this album. And like, we need to fix that. So it was like, over the course of, I'm going to say, a day or two, I sat down and parsed back the lyrics, kind of rewrote the lyrics, rewrote the melody into what you hear on the album now. And it sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, it definitely does.
I mean, especially how just locked in the guitars, the bass, and the drums are. It's great. And then, of course, lyrically, I guess you can equate this song to let's say, kind of gaslighting, making you question your own reality. Kind of, am I going crazy, or is this reality? Kind of.
Is this really happening? Or is it? Yeah.
Is this real? Is this not real? What's real? Okay, before this one has a funny story at its roots. Maybe not for Sean here, but
oh gosh, is it about?
What was it? This one started taking shape back in 2004. We were trying to write drums for what became the chorus section of this. And our drummer Charlie, he was a heavy-handed hitter. Smashed the cymbal, drumstick breaks, goes flying right into Sean's eye.
Oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah. And poor Sean here, he had to go to the hospital and get his eye checked out.
Yeah, now I got a fake one. No, I'm just kidding.
And me and Charlie continued to work on this, and we actually ended up calling the song Shawnless for a while. And it's kind of pretty much like it didn't really change. The only thing we added, like this one, all I can recall adding is the middle section where you hear the guitar solo. There was never a guitar solo. It was just kind of like a rhythm jam, but it felt, once we recorded it, it kind of felt plain and there was missing something. So we added guitar solo.
Yep.
And then of course, behind the choruses, we added that droning lead, which really kind of elevates things a little bit. Yeah. And I guess lyrically, of course, it became a song about, I guess, someone close to you kind of pushing you aside and prioritizing other things that, other things that aren't, as important in the eyes of, I guess, in the eyes of reality to me. Like, oh, I'm going to prioritize, playing some fucking video game over spending time with those close to me, or I guess, just kind of like, oh, I met this new friend and he's more important or she's more important than my friends of 20 years. And just kind of, dropping everything and spending all your time with this new person with that new is always better mentality, or, ooh, shinies, I mean, that's kind of reflected in the chorus of, hours will come before, and then the days will come a week or two later. Months seem longer than all the years we've been together. Kind of a little play on words there, showing that, less time is more worthwhile to them than all the years that have been shared.
Yeah.
Shadow looms above the temple, skies darken. How much rain will it bring today? I wonder. The roof gives way and the water flows inside. The storm that forever changed the way you live your life.
Chasing Ghosts.
Yeah, this was a fun one. This was kind of something that I kind of developed. I had the riff since probably back in 2010 is when I started, working on that riff, the intro, and the chorus. And literally what it was is I was just messing around with Alone in the Dark's riff, and I did it acoustically, trying to come up with an acoustic version of Alone in the Dark. And it became something completely different. So, there's a lot of tweaking going on there and stuff like that. When Eric approached me about releasing this album, I found out some news. Eric can explain. And what I did is, if Eric wants to go, I will explain the rest.
Go for it.
Okay. Eric, if you guys don't know, Eric, was diagnosed with MS last year. It was last year.
Yeah, beginning of 2020.
Yeah. And, of course, I found out about it. Obviously, Eric's going through some stuff. I was going through some stuff. My friend was, hurting, right? I said, I think it would be a great idea if I wrote a song musically about what it feels like with me going through dealing with your diagnosis, and then you write the lyrics about what you are actually going through. And I thought it was a pretty cool, idea. He agreed, and we began working on it. And it was really, he did the solos on it. I did all the rhythm and the drums and bass on that, and he did, all the leads, and obviously wrote the vocals. So I'll let Eric run with this one the rest of the way.
Yeah. So this guy, he sent it to me originally as MS in the Dark. That's what he called it. And I couldn't help but laugh, because that was, of course, if you knew us, we joke about everything. Nothing is off limits between us, because that's how we deal with things. And, me and Sean, we have been brothers in arms for
25 years.
25 years. Yeah. So it's, we're allowed to give each other shit. But as Sean said, he wrote the music, and it's a great piece. I added the solo that you hear at the beginning. That was actually the original solo that was in Descent into Madness, over the choruses, and it just fits so much better over the beginning of Chasing Ghosts. And then, of course, lyrically, it's kind of, about me coming to terms with the MS diagnosis, and a lot of metaphorical, picture painting of, distorted signals and, nerve damage, and, just kind of like, okay, this is the storm that changed my life. This diagnosis was the storm that changed my life. And then I guess, the keyboard section in the middle, that was originally just it was a lull in the song where Sean went back to that original guitar, the clean guitar in the beginning of the song. And I felt, hey, this really cool keyboard sounds really good there. So
yeah,
we ended up doing that. And then it got heavy again, and we're like, okay, guitar solo. We didn't go traditional guitar solo. I like to call that moment, that's our Hetfield Hammett moment right there, where we did that really sick Metallica-esque harmonized guitar, dual guitar thing there. And it's like, it was kind of my ode to, like, a lot of stuff off And Justice for All, and Master of Puppets, and just how they harmonize their guitars, just, that really just sweet sounding dual guitar sound. So
make it smooth.
Yeah. And then again, Dan came in and killed the vocals yet again. It was fantastic. Okay. End of a Dream.
12-string guitar from the boat in the Navy.
What?
No, that was the one that you won or whatever. The 12-string guitar is what you wrote that on.
Oh yeah. This was you're right. I still have that thing here.
Yeah.
My cheap what is it, Carlo Robelli 12-string.
Sitting at Big Blue playing that
yeah, this one was originally an acoustic guitar piece. It was 2 acoustic guitars, a 6-string and a 12.
Yep.
And there was vocals over it. It was just supposed to be 2 guitars and vocals. And, at some point we decided, it would be cool to add, like a string layer behind it, just to give some more ambience.
And then we went crazy.
Yeah.
Program that used recording it, and we had to start over.
So we kind of started over from scratch once we started laying down the strings, and we decided, wouldn't piano sound cool here? Wouldn't some like bells and stuff sound cool? Wouldn't some woodwinds and more different strings doing different things sound cool? And pretty soon we kind of realized that the original guitar line that we had in there
Was gone.
Was just like it didn't fit anymore. It needed to it needed to go away. And vocally, we're like, there's a lot going on here. Why don't we just add like a lead guitar over it? And yeah,
Became what it was.
so End of a Dream, the original version of End of a Dream will show its face at some point, albeit a different title, and we'll have that, because I mean it's still a beautiful piece on the guitars. It kind of got lost with what we were doing.
Yeah.
And then you hear that there's drums there now, and there was never drums. We actually had our buddy Jared Placencia, who's a fantastic drummer from a Las Vegas-based band called Sleep Like Suicide, join us, and he basically crafted most of the drums for the track.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. We never intended to have an instrumental track on this album. It just kind of happened and to come together like that. And
perfect accident.
Yeah, it's a perfect accident. It's a fantastic song. It's probably one of those songs that we're not going to be playing live just due to the amount of layers and nonsense. We might be able to pull it off at some point, albeit a more stripped down version of what's going on. But yeah, I want to say there's like 3 or 4 piano tracks, a couple of string tracks, woodwinds, bells, guitars, drums, bass. I mean, it's layered and layered and layered, and it's just an instrumental thing we decided to orchestrate and craft, and it fit really well on this album.
I think what it'll end up being, and we had talked about this before, that if we start playing shows, it'll be the song to introduce us.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it would be a great one to just kind of like, how Metallica has the Ecstasy of Gold they use. We kind of wrote our own.
Yeah.
In a way, which is kind of cool.
Which kind of sucks that we're using a song called End of a Dream to start out our shows, but
We just call it Dream.
There you go.
To all of my prayers, why can't you conceive that you're not really fucking fooling anyone? It's the end of the night and the end of...
Why? This was another one that was kind of written during this recording process.
Yeah.
Again, Sean had the vision for this tune. This was all Sean. I mean, really, the only thing I did to this song was the slight little, whiny lead over the verses, which was just something to pop out, just give a little more depth to what was going on. But this song is very stripped back for us. It's really, it's guitar, bass, drums, vocals. That's it.
Yeah, it was written around the same time. It's the second song on the album that has an 8-string guitar. The first one being Once Upon a Lifetime Ago. When I started playing that, it's that riff, the main soft riff, I was just playing around on a new Fender, and I just kind of came up with that. But I couldn't come up with a chorus. And then one day I was playing the 8-string and I came up with that chorus riff. I'm like, you know what, that would actually sound good there. Put the two together, and I mean, it sounded amazing. And from there, the ending part, I tend to write songs that kind of switch right in the middle. I don't know why. I've kind of always done that. And I had one of my cousins tell me that some of the songs that you wrote, if you come in at the end of the song but then try to find that song, you're going to be confused when you hear the beginning of it.
That kind of seems how, like, that's us, man. Like, we kind of, I come from my version of how to play things and Sean's version of how to play things, and they don't like we write weird ways. I mean, we've been told we have our own kind of style and sound. I mean, we're influenced by so much, but then we take our two our two different styles, the way we play, and we mash what we do together. It just works, and it's just kind of cool how we have two competing styles on how we do things, but they mesh so well. I mean, that's like, and me and Sean, I mean, of course, we've been in just about every band we've ever played in. We've been together, so it's just we click.
I could never get a guitar player that could work with me properly. He could never get a guitar player that worked with him properly. And then when we got together, we are completely different, but we go together properly, which makes no sense, but we do.
Yeah. It's weird. I guess the only other thing I contributed to this was, of course, the rest of the album. I did all the lyrics and vocal melodies. Lyrically, this song is, I guess, about a dying relationship and the question why, and that's the song title. So why should I stick around? Why do you think your shit doesn't stink? Why do you think you're innocent in all this? Why do you think you're not any part of the problem? The video, on the other hand, depicts another way you can interpret the song. And of course, I'm going to take this opportunity, since we're doing a video about this, to clear things up. No, the chick is not being murdered at the end. If you look closely, yes, she is covered in the dude's blood. And in the very last shot you see of the bloody chick, she cracks this really wicked, evil smile before it cuts to the crime scene, saying, she took the matters into her own hands. And, then of course we have our PSA about domestic violence, which was kind of a nice message we wanted to, put out there, albeit with a graphic as all hell video, but that's us. We thought the visual was cool and the story depicted in the video of her finally fighting back. But of course, we do not condone people fighting back. Don't take matters into your own hands. That's our message at the end. But,
yeah,
we were telling a story, and just thought it was a proper idea to of course add that PSA, which was actually my dad's idea, because we originally released the video without that, and he's like, and we're like, yeah, I guess you're right. So we pulled it down and added the PSA and all that, which was a great idea, and that's why we like to run things by my dad, and because he'll be upfront with us and tell us when shit needs to be fixed or shit sucks. So just like Chris, though, my brother, who was originally a member of this band way back in the beginning.
Chris doesn't give an alternative explanation. Chris just says it sucks and walks away.
Yeah. Except, no, he did give us really good feedback this time around. He actually picked it apart. And, so.
I remember Raj, hey, what do you think of this riff? Chris sucks, and then he just turns, walks out.
That was Chris, and that's why we love Chris.
Yes, definitely.
Anti.
Tell me something I'll remember about Genesis. All I see is the anti-God in my success. Tell me something I'll remember about Genesis. All I see is the anti-God in my success.
Anti-Genesis.
This
is my personal favorite on the album, just because that chorus is everything I've ever wanted to write in a song. I mean, it's a hook, and like a crazy catchy hook, and I love it. And the way Dan delivered the vocals, I gave him the guide, but the way he delivered it, it's just a fantastic chorus. I mean,
it's a great song. It's a fun song to play. I remember you know, I'm pretty sure we worked on that back in 05. All right.
Yeah, that riff, the riff of the chorus I've had sitting around for probably since about 05. It was titled, the song itself, probably, I think it was musically set in stone as far back as 2005, 2006. And it really hasn't changed. It was a different, it was called a different, it was a different title. It's called False Hope originally.
Yes.
And the lyric, we never, like, our thing was, it's like we had the verses that you hear on the album, the melody and lyrically are almost the same as False Hope was back then, but we could never crack the chorus. The chorus was like, what do we do here? What, like, we had many different ideas of the chorus over the years, and you know, we liked them at the time, and then listening back, we're like, man, that sounds like shit. I want to say it wasn't up until, it was probably last year when we were putting this together, and we're like, okay, well, we've got this song recorded and ready to go, and we need to do vocals, and we don't have an idea for the chorus. And it was just kind of like a happy accident, sitting there forcing myself to write vocals and come up with melodies for these things. And that one came out, and then we sent the lyrics and the guide vocals to Dan. And when he sent this one back, I was like, I still listen to it all the time. It's my favorite song in the album. Like, it's a song, like, if I heard that song on the radio, I would jam it all the time, because it's like, like me and Shawn, we write music we want to hear. We don't write music for any other reason than, hey, these are songs that we love, and this is the kind of music we want to hear.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's, I guess, how you can sum up the Fading Chaos sound, is we write music that we want to hear, and if other people like it, which it seems like some of you out there like us, you know, thanks for listening, and you know, we're going to keep doing what we do, of course. So back to Anti-Genesis, you know, I thought I was being super clever when I came up with that title, and then found out that there's other bands out there that had the same title. You know, I just thought it was a cool way of saying, you know, like, if Genesis is the beginning, Anti-Genesis must mean the ending of something. And I thought I was being like super clever about it. You know, and then I guess the main idea behind this one, I mean, the chorus kind of sums up what the song's about. It's, you know, tell me something I'll remember of our Genesis. All I see is the anti, but it must exist. And to me, that's kind of saying, tell me how all this started, because all I see how it's ending. There's got to be a reason this started. You know, like, well, you know, why did I get myself into this? And then, of course, that's our latest music video, and we kind of took it another interpretation for the video of, you know, losing faith. You know, to me, the guy in the video is the one losing his faith, and then you see shots of this creepy chick in white, you know, looking all demonic. To me, in the video at least, she kind of represents the devil or the anti. Whereas, you know, the depiction of Jesus and the cross and the church, that is the guy's Genesis, and that's the guy's faith. And the devil is him losing his faith. The shots during the guitar solo section, we kind of went with the idea of, you know, like, kind of what the feeling behind the solo was, which was kind of like a sense of searching for something, be it, you know, searching for your faith, searching for an answer, searching for whatever. And, you know, we wanted to depict that feeling of searching throughout that. And then with the end of the solo depicting, you know, his resolve, or, you know, his finding a resolution, him finding his faith, him finding what he was searching for.
Finding his rock.
Yes, exactly. Finding his rock.
His center. Yeah.